the kind of benefit that normally the youth and the farmers and the concerned can be able to get from this. Now, again, in addition to this, there's need to promote full value chain. A number of countries have realized that there is need to support the value chain. Supporting the value chain actually involves all those who are involved, and it might sometimes not be a lot in terms of the expenditures, but rather in most of the countries, protecting the value chain and supporting is actually quite meaningful, because it's not only the production, the produce and the results, but rather the jobs which are generated along the value chain. That is actually key more so for the youth. Because one, the youth from the education system that they actually have, many places they require experience, but where would we expect the youth to get experience other than engaging them? So there's need to support the youth a lot in terms of business linkage, mechanization, value chain promotion, processing, credit facilities, and more so, number one, mechanization. If we do this, we'll be able to engage the youth in more meaningful income generating activities, because agriculture is with us. But over and above, there needs to be policies at the top level to be able to protect the value chain so that the youth can be engaged meaningfully. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Oyange, for that expose. This is really, really very good and superb information that you're providing to us about what the ministry is doing actually to engage with the youth, and of course with our linkages that we are creating together with the Ministry of Agriculture in Kenya. Let me check with my co-host Gabriel. Do we now have Dr. Omanga ready do we now have Dr. Omanga on the line? Gabriel? Gabriel, are you there?
Yes, Rachel Jambo, how are you?
Very well, thank you. And you? How are you today?
Very fine, very fine, very fine. It's so Dr. Yang is still on flight. To Dr. Omanga is still on flight, heading to Mombasa, and therefore we may still continue because he has promised that immediately he lands, he will actually join. So we can still go ahead and give space to the next speaker to continue. Yeah.
All right, very good. Actually, that is a very good time for me to switch now to you to take over the program, so that we now have the rest of the speakers in the next itemized agenda item, so that they take us through. I believe that is now Mr. Mugambi and Mr. Gashaija. Over to you, Gabriel, and the colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Let me now take over from you. Thank you very much for the nice coordination. I am equally happy for the good job you've done. Right away, allow me to introduce may someone help me join using the video? The coordinator on that side. Okay, fine. I think someone will help me make the video on, but then we can continue. Allow me to take this opportunity to now introduce the next speakers. And very, very humbly, I would really want to introduce the country team leader, Kenya, under Kilimo Trust. Anthony Mugambi Makona is one of the guys leading program R4ICSA in Kenya, and also carry EA programs in Kenya. And I would really want to take this opportunity to welcome Anthony Mugambi to discuss with us what he sees as the role of development organization in promoting circular economy in Kenya and other territories within East Africa and Africa at large. Yes, Anthony Mugambi, are you on? Anthony?
Yes, Gabriel, I'm on. Thank you very much for inviting me to have a discussion this afternoon, and thank you, colleagues, for the coordination this far. Good afternoon, participants and our distinguished speakers. We are very happy that you are able to join us this afternoon. And I'll quickly talk about the role of donors and funders in terms of accelerating adoption of circular economy, particularly by the youth. I will first of all, let me say one of the projects that I'm leading here in Kenya is funded by the iCare Foundation of the Netherlands, and it's focusing on rice byproducts, particularly rice straws, rice husks, rice bran. And we are focusing on ensuring that those byproducts that are basically the waste from the processing process or from the harvesting process are able to become inputs of another process that is either in the making of fertilizers, in the making of compost, in making of economically viable and commercially viable materials such as chipboards and other products that are basically economically viable. And therefore, first of all, let me say that this particular funder, as you may know, the iCare Foundation is the charitable arm of iCare, which is a furniture maker and trader based in Sweden, that started in Sweden and has grown to be a global trademark. And therefore, because they felt that basically they have their business is anchored in the forestry and basically in the environment, they thought that it's wise that they also give back to the environment, basically or literally, and that's how they are funding initiatives that are geared towards conserving the climate change or forestalling the climate change, particularly through reduction of greenhouse gases emission. And as you know, rice production plays a key role, just like in the dairy industry and many other industries. It plays a key role in the emission of greenhouse gases like methane, as you've heard from the video that we played earlier on. And therefore, when we talk about donors and funders for circular economies, here we are talking about not just the mainstream donors that you would say, for instance, the IFAD that is funding our youth program in Rwanda, or other UN bodies or other private foundations, but also even the private sector itself. For instance, I know I've seen here John Kadila of 02 Heroes that are really promoting what we call agroforestry through plants that we call glycidia that fix nitrogen within the ecosystem, and they also produce biomass for fuel. And we have seen quite a number of youth, particularly in areas where we've been operating with them, take up that enterprise in terms of raising seedlings and selling the same. Because this particular tree is also fodder for animals as well. So basically, there are quite a number of funding initiatives that would come even from business enterprises that could actually take up circular economy as part of their business strategy, not just as a donation or as a funding to an external partner like Limotrust to run with a program, but actually they can put it as part of their strategy. We have seen organizations like Equity Bank, for instance, financing agroforestry, and I've seen them talk about targeting quite a number of trees. They have given them targets of millions of trees at the end of every year, and we've seen them take this drive ahead. And therefore, these particular initiatives we see have they can be entrenched within business strategies, as I've said. Others can be private foundations, just like we've said. And there are opportunities right now because of the kind of situation we find ourselves in right now. Remembering the just ended concluded discussions in Glasgow, where the talk has been on climate change. And basically, circular economies are able to reduce the pressure on the environment, as we keep saying, by first of all reducing the waste that go into the ecosystem, and therefore we are able to also reduce on a lot of, for instance, if it is production, let's say for instance on rice, there has been a lot of mining of nutrients from the soils, sometimes without recycling, for instance, the straws back into the soil. Sometimes you find the farmers burning these straws, but you find them still continuing to get external fertilizers, particularly N-based or nitrogen-based fertilizers into the soils. And that's why, for instance, today we are honored here to have a youth enterprise that are already focusing on producing organic fertilizers from rice waste, and we get to hear from them. We've seen, for instance, the interrelations between enterprises, for instance, the poultry industry, the animal industry, with for instance, the rice industry, where they produce raw materials for feeding, for instance, the black soldier fly, which produces the maggots that are very critical, right? That have become very critical now as key means of animal feeds. And we have one of our youth entrepreneurs in Kisumu, a place called Rabuor, handling this particular enterprise. And this is an initiative that has been put together through an initiative of an abattoir with this young man and his group, trying to basically have recycle their waste from powder using the shape through which we can have these maggots that again go to the poultry subsector and the dairy subsector as animal feeds. And therefore, seeing an initiative also creation between different sectors to ensure that there is you don't need external funding, because the group that is using black soldier fly to recycle the waste from the abattoirs is able to get, they're getting market for what they're producing, and also the abattoir is benefiting from a safe and clean environment from where they're working from. So basically, there is a huge opportunity, not just for external funders, but also for businesses as well, to entrench circular economy within their processes and promoting the same. Thank you, Gabriel. Unless there is a question from the panel, from the moderators or from the participants, I'm ready to field some few questions, either now or later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anthony. I believe Gabriel is somewhere trying to juggle many things. Thank you very much, Mr. Mugambi. Please let us have our questions to all the presentations in the chat room. We will be able to handle those ones once the Q&A rolls around. Thank you very much, Mr. Mugambi, for those ideas and what we are doing in Kenya and in Uganda. I'm sure you will definitely have a couple of questions for you to be able to respond to. Right now, let me take this opportunity to invite our team leader for the RES program in Rwanda, Mr. Andrew Gashaija, who is also a Sabalongo. We have that saying that is a Salongo. Andrew, please unmute yourself and let us have a look at you, and also have that brief on what we are achieving in Rwanda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rachel, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andrew Gashaija. I'm based in Kigali right now, leading the Rwanda team, but also leading the implementation of the Rural Youth Employment Support Project, which was, there was a video that was played at the start of the webinar. For those who came in late, maybe you missed it. Maybe if time allows, it will be played again. So the RS project, or that's the abbreviation, but it's called Rural Youth Employment Support Project. It's a 5-year program that is funded by the International Fund for Agriculture Development and BMZ to create technical and vocational skills for youth employment in agribusiness. Basically, we look at youth employment not like in an ordinary way, in a way that employment or jobs, both in wage employment or self-employment, we want to create them through building the technical skills, because this is informed by the assessments that have been conducted before. So our previous speakers mentioned about the youth unemployment and so many factors that have contributed to that. But clearly, skills, technical skills for that matter, is one of the factors that have led to unemployed youth we have around in this region of East Africa. And so we started this as a pilot program that is funded by our funding partners, implemented by Kilimo Trust, together with our partners in Rwanda. There's a Rwanda Youth in Agribusiness Forum and Rwanda Polytechnic. These are institutional frameworks within the Ministry of Education, where they usually focus on vocational training. So we work with them, but with our primary focus is on agribusiness skills to create for creation of employment opportunities for youth. So we are approaching youth employment through technical skills development, and this is because majorly, agribusiness is majorly practiced in the rural areas where we have majority of our people. And as our previous speakers mentioned, the region is generally youthful. The workforce we have around in this region, in Rwanda and across the region, is youthful. And so if these people can be skilled, can be given the technical skills that are needed to unlock certain opportunities, then it would be the gateway to income, wealth creation in the rural economy of our region. So I think I will not go into the details of the project. That's in brief how RS approaches employment creation for youth. And if there are other questions, I'll take them on. But we have quite a number. First of all, starting with the assessment or the identification of opportunities, designing the programs, the training programs, the curriculums that are responding to the needs on the labor market. And of course, there are quite a number of unserved markets, labor markets in this region that require some technical skills of this category of potential employees, or even suppliers or providers of services and products, which can only be achieved through building of that experience, hands-on experience, technical skills, vocational skills. And for youth, we believe that is something. We are already seeing some results. It's almost 1.5 years into implementation, and we are starting to see some great achievements in this angle. So it's great to be sharing this with you, but we hope to learn more from you in this webinar. Thank you, Rachel. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Andrew, for those brief insights into R4, where we are promoting youth employment and empowerment through skills development. Thank you very much for that. It is now time for our Q&A, and I request Joseph Orende. He's been looking at our Q&A session, our questions that are in the chat box, and I kindly request Joseph to unmute yourself and also share. While Joseph is coming through, there is a question here that as an entrepreneurship support organization for agripreneurs, how do we position to partner with the program to ensure better incomes for young farmers? We are based in Kisumu in Kenya. I believe this is a question to Anthony Mugambi. And also, if you could take that question, Anthony. There is also another question on what amendments or blends are you adding to the rice straw to enrich its nutrient status? Anthony, those are two questions to you. Very quickly, while I am also still getting some other questions either from the secretariat that is manning our chat. Anthony, if you could take those two, that would be great.
Thank you very much, Madam Rachel. Once again, for those that are continuing to join us, my name is Anthony Mugambi. I'm the country team leader for Climate Trust Kenya and also the project team leader for Circular Economy Program under RISE, funded by the iCare Foundation. And for the enterprise or for the entrepreneurs that are already in Kisumu, kindly get in touch with our team that is already there. Two of our technical staff are already in Kisumu as we speak right now, and therefore kindly get in touch through our contacts. We will also drop the contacts on, kindly help us, colleagues, drop the contacts of Joseph Orede and Gabriel in the chat so that this group can pick it up. Nevertheless, or however, you can also email us through our official email address, and we'll get back to you so that you're able to meet the team while in Kisumu. Secondly, in terms of use of rice straws and what we are doing with the rice straws to make it more nutrient packed. First of all, for straws, one of the enterprises that we are working with right now in Kenya with straw. First of all, we are composting straw in situ. Basically, we are saying as where it is in the farms. When particularly for those farmers that are doing combined harvesting, that straw, we are encouraging these farmers to leave it as where it is, and we are encouraging them to spray with the accelerators, basically about effective microorganisms, which help to break down or digest these straws, to break it down into compost for ease of incorporation into the soils. Secondly, and the second manner in which we are using straws and the enterprises that we are working with is in the production of mushrooms as basically as substrate. When these composts, also it becomes a very good substrate for production of mushrooms, and I'm happy that one of the enterprises here that is handling mushrooms production through this particular program is here with us. So basically, we enrich straws using by effective microorganisms. The other method, the third method, is the use of vermiworms. These are worms that are able to basically digest the rice straws, and the excreta from the worms, that is the vermiworms, is very, very rich in nutrients. That is, we call it vermicompost. And also on the process of digesting the straws, these worms also produce what we call vermijuice, and this vermijuice is also very, very effective foliar feed or foliar fertilizer. We're already analyzing samples of the same to be able to also advise the farmers who also want to turn this into a serious enterprise on the dilution rates. We've also seen it being effective on some pests, for instance, red spider mites. And these are an area that we want to proceed with, because we are seeing the vermiworms producing for us vermicompost, which is very nutrient packed, and also vermijuice, which is a foliar feed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anthony. I see the chat room is very, very live with actually very many questions. I have seen Musa Kasozi. Your hand is up. Unfortunately, in order for us to be able to manage this meeting effectively, we are not allowing people who are not co-hosting to speak. If you could kindly drop your question or comment in the chat room, we will be able to find time to address it. Although I saw one other interesting question again to Anthony, I think in the chat room, about whether under R4 we are monitoring greenhouse gas emission from rice fields. I think that would be the very last one that we can consider in this limited time, so that we move ahead with the program. Anthony, if you could quickly answer that one. Are we monitoring? Is this one of our indicators on the R4 program?
Unfortunately, this is not one of our indicators, but we are already pursuing one of our, there is a program that is funded by the World Bank that is on measuring greenhouse gases at the local level. And we would want to, now that this is a pilot phase that is ending mid next year, in the upscaling phase, there's something that we really would want to pick up. And quickly to add also on the other issue of straw, we are also turning these straws into silage, and basically preparation of silage, you know, it has to be boosted for it to be beneficial to the animals. And now to make this completely circular, the zero grazing units that are using these rice straws, that is silage from the rice straws, we are also using the cow dung is fed into a biodigester, with the biodigesters also producing biogas that is tapped for domestic use, and the bioslurry that is in the biodigester can be taken back to the farms as manure. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Anthony. And with that, I kindly request that I see there are so many questions in the chat. I am requesting our secretariat, please let us have several of these questions picked up, and we will be able to get back to the askers after this meeting. Right now, I would like us to move to the next agenda item in the interest of time. We are already almost 1 hour into our webinar, and it is quite interesting. I now would like to take this opportunity to now switch to the next session, where we will now be tackling the question on youth champions in a circular economy, the experiences, the challenges, the opportunities, and the future outlook. For what is how do we develop these champions? These are actually youth people who are doing something about engaging with youth. They are championing the circular economy, and I would like now to invite Mr. Alex Odondo. Mr. Alex Odondo is the founder of Olex Techno Hub. He's a mechanical engineer by profession. He's an innovator, and he's also a support lecturer at Kisumu Polytechnic in Kisumu. So he's a youthful person, and this is something that he has a lot of zeal for, especially on circular economy. He's one of our champions that we are working with on the R4 program in Kenya. A very warm welcome to you, Alex. Please unmute yourself and give us those very key lessons that you are learning, even as you're working with us and in all your endeavors. Thank you very much, Alex Odondo. Can we enable Alex Odondo? Is he on the call?
Hello?
Ah, very good.
Oh.
There you are, Alex. Now we just need to be able to see you.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, I need to be seen, eh?
Yes, please.
Is that okay?
Yes. Can we enable the video of Alex, the secretariat, please, who is working on this?
Okay. I see my host is holding my video.
No, the host is going to give you back your video. Can we enable the video of Alex, please?
Alex should be able to do his video now.
Okay.
Very good.
Let me see. Okay.
Ah, very good. There you are.
Okay.
Please go ahead. Thank you.
It's okay. Thank you very much. I'm called Alex Odundo. I'm an innovator and a fabricator in Kenya, which is in Kisumu. And I'm privileged to be here to maybe share with you about the role of youth in driving circular economy, which is a very important thing. I tried to define what circular economy is, and I found that it simply means reuse, recycle, repair, and share. So it's like it's an all-rounded thing that from the start to the end. It also means an end to waste that is produced from our factories or our daily life, and the change to create new type of inclusive, sustainable economic growth. And there's a chart that I was trying to work on. And this chart basically talk about, we have the starting point, which is the raw material. From the raw material, we basically find a way of processing those raw materials, which again, this leads us to designing. Like an engineer, what we normally do is find a problem and try to solve that problem. Before you solve a problem, you sit down in a room and then you do what is called designing. And from designing, we do what is called, excuse me. From designing, we have what's called the production of the designed prototype or designed, it can be an idea that is designed to help you process certain material to a product that you want to use in any way. And then we have a distribution of that product that you designed and produced. And after distribution, we basically have the consumption. That is then you take it to the market, and then you have, it's going to be used in different perspectives. After consumption, normally we have what is called the waste. And then this waste, we can repair that waste or reuse it in doing other things. And that's what we're doing in maybe, if you're talking about rice and rice husk and rice straws and all that. So that's a process that basically makes a complete circle for the circular economy. We have residuals from reuse and repair that's again recycled to give you another product that again you're able to use in doing other things. Now, to identify agribusiness venture with the machine and tool fabrication, basically what happens is every day that we wake up from our sleep, there's a problem that we want to solve, and these problems need solutions. It is from these problems that we get agribusiness ventures. So the solution that we normally come up with are either mechanical, they can be chemical or electrical or social solutions to the problem that sometimes we have around us. Now, in all these, we need to include youth in various critical points of application or developments of these ideas. And as I said, in that circle, in every stage, we have a very good involvement of youth in all the areas that we talk about, a bit the raw materials, because the raw materials come from the farms basically, and then we come to design. The design, mostly we have the young people who have those ideas because they're creating themselves jobs. We have young people who are doing the production in the factories and maybe manually or so on. So involving youths in doing all that they need some motivation to retain them and sustain them along the value chain. That's very important. It is also always very important to show a youth a positive outcome. They must see the benefit that comes with idea creation and dissemination. When these two are absent, it shows no need to invest your time and money in an idea whose benefit and never experienced. This is basically, we need to find out how do we try to encourage youth to get involved in idea creation and dissemination of these ideas, and just let them out there in the market. And they need to see the benefit of these ideas, because if that is not there, then it discourages young people from coming up with ideas. It discourages young people from creating more ideas or just coming out with maybe the product that they have out there. We need to create some benefit and very positive connection to the market. We therefore need to create an environment that is friendly to the youths, so that they see the importance of getting into some of these activities. We need to make it easy and friendly for them to create ideas. How do we bring the attitude of idea creation in these youths? Do we have some incentives that are then driving them to think about certain problems that are around them? Because sometimes we have problems around us, but because our minds are kind of blocked, or we think beyond our expectations, and therefore we are not able to create any idea to solve any problems around us. Give necessary support to facilitate the development and testing of these ideas. Anybody, maybe like, for example, I had rice husk stove. If I didn't have the right support for this and facilitation to develop this idea, it may die in the workshop, or it may die as an idea. So I think these are some of the areas that we need to work on, so that we encourage more youth to bring in ideas, develop these ideas, and then they see these ideas finally get into the market and they get reward for them. We need stakeholders to facilitate the production, marketing, and the distribution of the said ideas to the market, like now Climotas is doing with the rice husk store as store, which is a very important step. We need these stakeholders to come in and help us, either financially or technically or by any means. Making business out of an idea, retain and sustain youths to remain relevant to solving real problems. If one problem is solved with an idea, then this is a very good opportunity for even other many ideas to be brought in, and then they are able to be developed and then go to the market, and then it's going generally to create a bigger perspective or a bigger base for a lot of ideas that are again going to solve a lot of problems that are out there for the youth. Then the level of investment for startups, sometimes it's a very big challenge for the youth to just get to or get an idea and just start that idea and make it a good business. And this, basically, the government plays a bigger role in creating appropriate environment for startups. Example, we need good policies done by the government, building infrastructures, which is done by the government and any other stakeholders. We like training institutions. We have research and development units where these young people can just go and do their research for maybe any idea that they have. We have innovation centers, we have incubation centers, where we have youth who maybe are starting new businesses. They can go into some institutions which are which provide incubation services, so that they are taken through certain processes until that time that they're mature enough to take their own to be their own or grow their own businesses with proper tools and equipment and expertise that are provided in those institutions. Provision of sustainable financial support to startups. This can be in the form of giving grants to these young people, because sometimes you have an idea, but again, you don't know how to start, you don't even know how to go about it. A certain amount of money that you need. We need maybe stakeholders or the government or any other institutions that maybe have financial support to give, most likely grants or maybe soft loans to help these guys. Resource mobilization, mostly stakeholders working towards achieving one goal, creating business out of agriculture. Each partner play a specific role, but as a team reaching on achieving one goal. You find there's some like organizations that support maybe training, but they don't give finances to certain businesses. So you are trained, but what maybe you need for your business is maybe the capital to do that. So maybe these stakeholders coming together and maybe having the same goal, and then each stakeholder coming with maybe their input, and then at the end of the day, you bring all your resources together so that our youths are supported. When we're developing our prototypes, like I told you, Kilimotrust is supporting our rice husk store. Sometimes the challenging. The prototype is an expensive exercise and need proper support from the stakeholders to help the fabricators achieve good results. It involves signing, fabrication, testing, and trials before the right item is finally taken to the market for consumption. So these are steps that, as fabricators, is a big challenge, because sometimes you start working on the idea, you do the prototyping, and then you do the testing and maybe trials. Now you can't go to the market because lack of certain issues. So these are things that really stop our youth from actually trying to achieve what their dream is. After all this, we need to do mass production for our technologies. Meeting customer demand is very critical. It is always very important to satisfy your customer needs. Mass production is key to sustaining your market and your customer. It is therefore essential that all the necessary requirements are met to help produce enough products for the market. Otherwise, the business is likely to fail. For example, like for the stove that you're working on, once we test the stove and it's working and we need to roll it out to the market, are we able to produce enough stove for the market, and are we able to satisfy our customers' need? So if that is not done, then we are going to basically lose the whole point, because it's going to die. It's never going to pick as a real business. Now, as I finish, we know that youth are the driving force to the economic growth across the world. We should therefore make agriculture more attractive. In most cases, agriculture have been associated with old and ugly individuals. This makes agriculture less attractive. Hence, many young people disassociate with agriculture, which is the backbone of most economies. We must therefore find attractive ways of performing agriculture to attract more youth. We must move away from the traditional way of doing agriculture to modern and productive ways. Mechanization and digitalization of agriculture is key to this. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that quite detailed presentation on what you're doing on the R4 program, especially on developing that new technology. My key takeaways are that we need to modernize what we are doing so that it becomes more attractive to the youth, so that they stop seeing agriculture as something for the old. But we also need to put in place put in place policies that actually encourage youth to engage in agriculture, and also, of course, provide some funding, especially some seed funding for youth enterprises to kick off. So thank you very much for that, Alex. We really are grateful for those experiences that you have just shared. I am still encouraging all of us to put our questions in the chat. And we will now move on to the next speaker. We'll take a couple of speakers and then we can have some questions answered in our Q&A session. Thank you very much, Alex. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to now invite our next speaker, who is none other than Mr. Samuel Rigu of Safi Organics. I hope he has now been able to log on. Samuel is the CEO and co-founder of Safi Organics, as I've said, and he's very passionate about agribusiness. He's a youth himself, and he has been working with us on our programs in Kenya, and he can share some of the experiences that he has, especially on starting Safi Organics. How did he make it? How did he manage? What are the key challenges of starting, for example, a startup like Safi Organics, and things like this. A very warm welcome to you, Samuel. I am not sure whether Samuel has now managed to actually be part of us. Yes, hello, I can see you, Samuel. Very good. A very warm welcome to you. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Rachel. So I'm Samuel, co-founder and CEO of Safi Organics. And in Safi Organics, what we are doing is decentralizing fertilizer production, making it possible for the first time to have local fertilizer production unit in local villages. We do this through getting the farmers' crop residue, using technology to convert this residue into biochar, which serves as a fertilizer base. And then we add some special additives, nutrient additives, and we have a complete fertilizer that is branded Safi Salvi, ready for the market. So mainly we are in the rice value chain, making use of mainly the rice husks. And this rice husk, previously they didn't have much of use. So we were among the first people to come and try to make economical use of rice husk back in 2015 when we started. But before that, we had tried to use this material for different other uses, including briquettes, as well as which didn't work very well, as rice husk cannot work really well because of the ash content level. After that, the briquette failed. We went to mosquito coil. So we partnered with one large agricultural mosquito coil manufacturers in East Africa. And we manufactured quite a lot of low toxin release mosquito coils, which was really a brilliant idea. However, from the projection, it didn't make financial sense because it would take us like 7 years to break even. So at that point is when we asked ourselves, can we take this back to the farm? And indeed, we did take it back to the farm. And the farmer who we started with, Mr. Dan, actually doubled his yields for that season. And he was so much excited that he had found new gold for his farm. So from there, then he said, we can start a company and run with this. And I would say, number one, today we have worked with Kilimo Trust, and it's quite interesting, and we have been growing the customer base together, as well as bringing in new ideas and new ways to approach the crop residues in terms of the circularity, which is a great move. And also the partnering with the REC region in setting up a similar of what we are doing in Moya, setting up a similar production unit that goes a long way to help the farmers in that region. However, as a youth, I would say one of the things that I did find when I started my entrepreneurship journey is the fact that I went with all that I had, with all the resources that I had, started a business without first really testing the business. So I bought the machineries for the briquette making, had everything in place, only to try to make briquettes, and then the briquettes really failed. And I lost much of the investments that I had then invested, of which this could have been avoided if basically I had some basic training on the minimum viable product training. So one of the things that I see really creating an opportunity is availing this information to the youths before they can just get their hands into entrepreneurship and into business, and decide to try new products. They need to understand the real way of starting a business, where they test their product with the minimum resources that they need. Once the idea has been tested and validated, then they can go full-blown in the production or into the business. So this calls for our learning institutions, both our learning institution and also organizations, to be at the forefront as they come to the youth and tell them you need to go into entrepreneurship. The training, the basic training on lean methodology should be included in the training, because this saves a lot and also gives the youth hope, despite the product has failed at a very minimal cost. So it gives them hope to try and also look for innovative ways of working around. So because most of the youths will go out, start a business and invest everything they had. If the business fails, they go back seeking for employment. So which all are looking for employment, and then we have lost a very innovative person. But if they were able to do it through the lean methodology, maybe it would have helped much, much better. So in Safi Organics, we work very closely with youths. And one of the things that we have integrated is with Kilimo Trust, train these youths to do the production of biochar. And once they do the production of biochar, so we help them access, number one, the raw materials that they need, that is the rice husk. We connect them through Kilimo Trust to MLGM and other millers. So once they are able to secure these raw materials, in fact, now they can produce. So we offer training to them. And once they produce, they are assured of the market, because we'll take everything they produce as Safi Organics. So we buy everything they produce, and they are able to, just to give a key example, I think must have been mentioned, of the Moya carbonators, who have been in a position to employ as a youth group now. They are about 10 of them also. So this means that we are able to create jobs in the local communities for the youths. And as long as we have our product going to the market and the market is happy about our product, then these youths are guaranteed that they have a source of income. Previously, we had been doing everything from the production to the selling. But we realized the production part is a bit bulky for us. And one of the way was to outsource to the youths. So that was very, and has been a very successful partnership. And it's something that I know even Kilimo Trust is proud of in terms of the advancement. So at the end of the day, we have to look at the resources that are available to the youths and into ways in which they can take advantage of these resources. Because at the end of the day, even if we had asked these youths to produce the fertilizer base, but they don't have anywhere to take this fertilizer base, definitely there will be no motivation for them to go ahead and do the production. So we need to look at the value chain, where we are looking at the value chain from the production level, or from the production or manufacturing level, all the way to the market level. Because even if we tell the youths to farm and go to the farm and farm, just say like something like rice, which you're talking about right now, but we are encouraging them to do it in a circular way, where it is they're able to earn higher, because they will produce organically. They are able to earn higher. But when the reality comes, when they are going to the market does not give, doesn't care whether it's organic or inorganic. The market says we are buying at 10 shillings. These youths or these individuals will feel cheated. And so in the next production cycle, they'll try to produce at the minimum cost possible. So it is our responsibility also, as we move the circularity and we help youths engage in this, we need to consider the market end, so that we can have a successful flow of the whole value chain without having a break. Because once we have one chain breaking, then the other chain will most likely fall. So that is that I will say today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Samuel, and for those really great experiences of how you started Safi Organics, and especially on the issue of pricing. Usually the market, in fact, dictates what they are willing to buy things at, and yes, it is true, they don't care whether it is organic or not. And thank you very much for that sharing. I am sure questions are already on the chat. We will pick those up and forward these to you once we reach the Q&A session. Thank you very much for sharing. Let me now take the opportunity to welcome our next speaker, who is none other than Mr. Nzeimana Noel. Noel is a young entrepreneur from Rwanda. He's engaged in waste management, and he is specializing in soil and environment management. And he's currently the CEO and founder of Green Care Rwanda Limited, a company that cleans the environment by collecting waste, cleaning it, and making the products out of waste, like compost fertilizer that is used by farmers, as well as pavers used in construction. So this is a young entrepreneur. He's doing it. He owns a company where he's actually recycling waste, and he is also one of our partners that we are working with on the R4 program in Rwanda. A very warm welcome to you. A very warm welcome to you, Noel. If you can unmute yourself and switch on your mic so that we can see you, that would be excellent. Yes, Noel, please go ahead. It would be nice if we can see you as well, so that we are sure who is talking to us. Noel, are you there? We can see your presentation, but we cannot see you. Can someone make Noel a co-host, please, so that he can be able to speak to the slides that are now running, that are on the show?
Hello?
Yes, Noel, we can hear you, even though we still cannot see you. Okay. Very good. There you are. Everyone, welcome to you, Noel. Please go ahead. All right.
Okay, thank you very much, Lasha. My name is Noel Nizaimana. I'm CEO of Green Care Rwanda Limited. Green Care Rwanda Limited is a private company established in 2016 by the 4 young entrepreneurs. We started with this company when we were at university. After seeing the problem of solid waste management where our campus was located. Green Care was created for different reasons. The first reason is to provide integrated of sustainable solid waste management as a solution in order to enhance sustainable agricultural production, especially wide use of organic fertilizers. As the purpose, we need to become one of the top companies in solid waste management services and the market leader in fertilizer industry. For achieving that, the Green Care has the different values like integrated, quality, sustainable, and scientific innovation approach and customer care, which will help us to provide the good quality of the product or service we provide in solid waste management. The next. As you have seen, this is the situation of the solid waste management in 2015. As you have seen, you have the waste are banned, even where they were, it's not well managed. That has the main problem for environmental pollution, disease and pest propagation, insufficient water, and the leakage of the pollutant into groundwater as contamination, methane gas production, also contamination, and reducing the cultivation land area because this system was the collection and dumping or dumping or landfilling system. This caused environmental protection. This picture was taken by me in 2016 when I was visiting the site. So I have seen that is the big problem for our environment. So that is the reason why with my team, we start to propose what we can do that provide the sustainable solution for this situation. Next. So after realizing the problem, we have seen the sustainable solution waste for solid waste management because in Rwanda, even in developing countries, 70% of the waste we have is a bio-waste. So we had the business idea to convert that bio-waste into packaged organic compost. As we have seen, this is the composting. We have transformed that dump site. You saw. This is the new recycling plant, which are converting the biodegradable waste into packaged compost, branded green compost for commercial purpose. Today, Green Care Rwanda Limited received 10 tons of the mixed solid waste at the platform. 70% is bio-waste. By using the composting process, as you have seen, we have made the packaged organic compost, which take 60 days of composting process and produce between the 1.5 and 2 tons per day. And also it employed 25 employees working day to day for composting activities from sorting to the packaging of the compost and deliver to the market. Next. Because the waste, incoming waste, is mixed. At the beginning, we had the idea of converting the bio-waste into a composting process, but as well as we are implementing the project where we are faced with the mixed waste, between 50 and 20%, there is the plastic bottle and plastic bags. We have the idea to convert that plastic into ecological pavement blocks for construction, as also another alternative for environmental protection, and also promoting the circular economy and creating the green job for young men and women. Today, we have a production capacity of 2,560 square meter per year of ecological pavement, as we have seen. Okay, you can next also. Yeah, in order to have that product, we have the flow of operation for the solid waste management. What we did first to organize the collection and transportation in waste. At the beginning, we have the collectors, companies, but it's not well organized. We deposit the waste in an hygienic way. So what we did is to organize the collection and transportation of the solid waste from the household, restaurant, the market, and transport it to the recycling plant. Our role, the great roles in is treating of that solid waste. The first activities we did when the waste is coming at the facilities, we started to wait. We made the estimation because we not yet to have the machine, the weight scale to measure the quantity of waste per day. We made the estimation. The first activity we are doing is sorting. We're sorting the bio-waste and the non-bio-waste. Biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste. For the biodegradable waste, we have seen 70% is the bio-waste. We separated with other waste, then we mixed with, in order to have the CN ratio, which are very favorable for composting process. And we continue to monitor the composting process by monitoring the temperature, pH, and humidity in order to promote the microorganism to destroy the waste into the final product. During 60 days, we found the good quality of compost, plant degree compost, which is ready for using as an organic fertilizer. For 20 and 50% is no biodegradable waste. We are sorted the plastic waste are converting into the ecological pavement and other recyclable material like cardboard, bones, and the papers we collected and we compacted in order to reduce the volumes of that waste and we transport to other recycling plants in order as the second is cells, which will contribute to the treatment of the waste we have already received at the platform. Next. So our project has the impact because if you have seen the situation of solid waste management in developing countries, we are still have the dump site. So to convert that dump site into a recycling plant has many impacts, such as that waste, 60% of that loaded waste at the facility is composted and contributed to agriculture sector, and also the 15% of recyclable materials are sold also as another another raw materials, which also can contribute to the economic growth. The third impact is to create the green job for the young people, women in the whole value chain from the waste collection generated at the home until to the end user of product. Another impact also is to save the land and reduce the land contamination. If we are continuing to use the campsite or landfilling, we will continue to use the land, even we have not enough the land for cultivation, even that land used has already contaminated by the solid waste. Another impact also is reduction in environmental pollution, because the dump site allow the waste to produce some gases like methane, which contribute to environmental pollution. Is also this promoting the circular economy, as well as our panelists presenting all as said. This system also contribute to NCT1 and also contribute to SDGs. So to converting waste into recycling plants has importance in your economy, and also for environmental protection, and also to contribute to agricultural transformation. Next. So in our entrepreneurial journey, the journey was not smooth, because we are met with different challenges. The first challenge we have is to find the best technology for solid waste management. As you have seen, developing countries, we have low resources, so we need the sustainable technology, which is very low, which has low cost, but have the capacity to produce the good quality of the end product. So at the beginning, we don't have the sufficient skills and knowledge to have that technology. The second challenge we have faced is the lack of stakeholders' inclusivity of solid waste management implementation. If you have seen the transformation or recycling of the waste, we need more stakeholders from waste generation to the community. We need also we need also other stakeholders for the whole value chain utilization of that end product. Also, it's required to put together or to partner different partners in order to have the sustainable solution for solid waste management. Another things, we have the policy of funding and financing for solid waste management project is not appropriate, because if you have seen developed country how they are implementing these policies is totally different from the developing countries. We are still struggling for our own funds. Even the market for the revenues for this is still a problem, because it's a new market, it's a new product to the new market. It's require more strategy for implementing this project regarding to the solid waste management. So the last is the market, because if you have seen how the market, the policy regarding the inorganic fertilizer is well established, but for the organic fertilizer not yet, because that is affecting the market, also the subsidies and distribution channels. So if we have the opportunity to have the organic fertilizer policies as well, inorganic fertilizer policies, national fertilizer policies are well established. It will help us to have the market and to have also subsidies and to find the distribution channel to market our product on on the market, or those leading to have the sustainable solid waste management, because it will be a profitable and sustainable business to promote the circular economy and the protecting environment, and also protection of our environment. I think, thank you very much for this opportunity to give us to share our presentation regarding our work in our entrepreneurial journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nzeyimana and Noel, for that sharing. We indeed need more stakeholders actually in waste management, and also more resources, especially from the municipal and regional governments, to actually encourage the organic transformation of waste, especially domestic waste. This is something that is still a new frontier for many of us, and we thank Green Care for taking this initiative and the plunge to actually work on this one, so that we can have more sustainable and more green cities. We hope to actually continue to pioneer this kind of initiative going forward, not only as Kilimo Trust with partners such as yourselves, but with others as well. Thank you very much for that. With that, we now welcome our very, very last speaker for the day, Mr. Jackson Carrara, who is currently the managing director, of Uruhimbi Kageo Cooperative in Carrara. Carrara is a young Rwandan passionate in agribusiness, and he holds a background in animal and crop production. You're very welcome, Jackson. If our secretariat could now make you a co-host, so that you can give us your remarks, especially covering the topic of youth champions and their roles in the circular economy, their experiences, their challenges, and their future outlook. Carrara, Sylvester, Jackson, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Rachel.
Very good, you're very welcome. Please go ahead. We need to see your face, please.
Yeah, let them open up my video.
The Secretariat, can we have Jackson in full view of everyone, so that even as he makes his presentation, we can see him. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Very
it's a
good.
pleasure.
Jackson, there you are. The mic is yours. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Rachel. It's a pleasure. Good afternoon from Rwanda. This is Jackson Carrara, and I'm the managing director of UKC. In full, it's Uruhimbi Kageo Company or Uruhimbi Kageo Cooperative. We are doing hydroponic fodder technology. This is the cultivation of animal fresh feeds, and we supply to our livestock farmers. Actually, it started 2 years ago, and we are operating in Gichumbi district. And we have a team of young, vibrant youth who are recent graduates from the university. And with our multidisciplinary team, we are able to come up with the idea on how we can sort out the problems related to high feed cost of the animals, which is not giving any revenue advantages to the farmers. We also look at the negative climate shocks, which is becoming detrimental all over the globe. And more so, we want also to find ways of creating jobs opportunities for our young, fresh graduates. Next slide. Those are the problems we have just shared. Rwanda is becoming overpopulated and the land is depleted. And the solution is this, the technology. So green technologies are the sure deal. And if you can see from the slide, it's the vertical cultivation of the green fodder. So this is weekly production, and we are able to supply to all classes of livestock, fish, poultry, the pigs, the cattle, or the dairy, and all forms of livestock that are domesticated. Water is recycled. As you are seeing, it's vertical. There is a way the trays are arranged and water are diagonally circulated. So we are circulating or reusing the water, and that does conserving the water. So it's like there's not any wastage. And something else that is very important with this animal feeding is that it is fresh and nutritious, because the animal is able to take the feed when it's at absorbable stage, the milky stage on whatever level that is of the need of that class. For example, pigs, it is 6 days, cows, it is 7 days, poultry is 4 days. So it's very palatable and absorbable at that stage, and is very nutritional to the livestock. It also cuts the methane greenhouse emission, which is one of the greenhouse gas that causes the global warming. Can we go to the next slide? So the achievement so far, as I told you, we started 2 years ago, and it started with a group of 2 people. It ended up to 9 currently and 10. Finally, we are getting 1 more, 10. And the impact is becoming bigger. So we have been able to recruit technical team apart from the founding members. The technical team itself is professional and it's multidisciplinary. And the competence is there to ensure that this project prospers and thrives. We are using a greenhouse. You can see from the background, it's very well modernized. It's the shade net, and those are the recent graduates that graduated, and they were sponsored. You see, the technology transfer. I remember Gashaija, who is the coordinator of Arias project, talked about the skills development. So we want to ensure that the youth are equipped with hand-on skills and able to integrate and improve these technologies even to the rural areas. We have developed a training hub, and we are happy that incubation is a priority to Kilimo Trust. And when we have the exchange between the parties, between the trainees from tertiary institutions, from secondary institutions, making visit and learning these new feeding technologies, is going to have at long last a positive impact towards the realizations of the circular economy, because the youth have to be at the forefront. And we, UKC, are not left behind when it comes to technology transfer, sensitization and awareness, and through extensions. There are 3 aspects that I would like to share. First of all, our president, the Rwandan president, His Excellency Paul Kagame, say that the youth have to go and knock the door of the opportunities. Youth don't have to sit there and wait for the opportunities to look for them. That's not working out. So we identified the problem and we sorted the problem. And after sorting the problem, we end up getting partners who have the same like-minded vision. And the Kilimo Trust is among those ones that have seen that there's a gap, skills gap, and the climate change, which is affecting the animal feed production. So the technology, which is mainstreamed in agribusiness, then we can become the stakeholder. And the UKC has done that so far. So we thought of 3 areas that we need to take time. That is the technical training. And through the incubations, then we are able to raise awareness, and people, the youth, need to know the existing technologies, the innovative technologies that are able to sort out some of the problems that are existing. And hydroponic has been there, but at our context, it has not been there. We are the pioneers in Rwanda. And for the last 1 year, it was a journey. It was a journey that we want to tell the youth that it's not easy, especially when you're integrating a new technology into a context that is not existing. So we have gone up sensitizing and engaging, and finally it's working out. We are happy. Even the local administration is helping us because it's becoming part of their performance goals, and it has brought some positive impact. The building business models, it's a place also that we need to find ways of involving other stakeholders on how we can develop ideas and transform these ideas into practical business models, and even transforming from one business model to other diversified business models. For example, we started with only fodder supply. We cultivate and sell to the farmers at affordable, cost-effective prices. But now we have also integrated training. We are also looking forward into value addition and even research. So we have academic study tour exchanges between academic institutions, and the diversifications of these revenue streams is an opportunity that youth have to optimize because they exist. And financing, because when you have an idea and you don't have the capital or the infrastructure in place, it's going to be a challenge. And that's why when we see such kind of platforms like Climate Trust sharing and sharing networks between the agripreneurs, then it's going to give us a leveraged platform where we can network and get opportunities for working together and ensure that financement of these ideas are put into practice. Now, maybe lastly, something that I don't want to forget is how resourceful is the project going to be? How sustainable are they going to be? First of all, the future of agribusiness or agriculture is technologies. Technologies are very cost effective. They are not heavily, they are smart. Someone was saying that the youth are not attracted in agriculture. It's because they perceptionally believe that agriculture is dirty work. But what we do is we don't even have any place where we handle the soil. This is just smart, clean practice. And you can dress the way you want, and you can feed your animals and get money from that. So the technology is the only way, sure bet, that we need to adopt at this stage. And we are going to ensure that we minimize the resources possible, because the land that we are using is very small size. You can imagine 3 by 4 by 3 meters by 4 meters, and by 3 meters up, you are able to raise feed that is able to be produced by half an acre of land when you are using the conventional method. So this technology is very convenient. It is also overcoming the negative climate shocks, which is another opportunity that we are trying to work out on nowadays to ensure that we are sure of our production. At least 98% of the harvest we are very much sure of. So we should be engaging and involving on practices that are clean and smart and resilient and resourceful. And that's where technology lies. Now the youth are the forefront because they're active population. The youth are the ones who are very much attracted to the technologies. The youth are changing their mentality. We are no longer the same youth who used to go to class and master classes. We also look for technologies through other social media platforms and even sharing of information with other partners. So to be brief, we have made progress. We are able to serve farmers. We are able to offer trainings. We are able to give ideas on how we can develop other business models, especially in this feeding sector. And we are able to solve some of the problems that are existing in the community by supplying animal feed that are sustainable and which enables the farmer to cut the feeding costs and improve their revenue streams. Thank you. I'll welcome more questions if the need comes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jackson, for that passionate presentation, especially on what is going on in Rwanda. Indeed, technology is the way to go. The future of agriculture is actually technology adoption for all that are involved. And in fact, we need to find ways that actually enhance the effectiveness of agricultural initiatives. Thank you so much for that, Jackson. We are now open to our Q&A. I see my colleagues have been responding to some of the questions in the chat room. The chat room is actually quite vibrant. Thank you so much for all those who are contributing, for all those who are asking questions. I hope some of them are being answered. We will actually, in the interest of time, because it is already coming to almost the closure of our webinar this afternoon, we will take a couple of questions so that at least the speakers can have an opportunity to respond to some of these questions which were not yet responded to on the chat. I believe also that the audience on YouTube is also on fire. At least this is the information I have received from the Secretariat, that there's a lot going on in the chat. A lot of questions for you, Samuel. I'll read first the questions for Samuel, especially from your presentation on Safi Organics. One of the questions that came to you, Samuel, is about what additive materials are you adding to biochar made from rice husks? Which crops performed well under Safi Organics fertilizer in terms of yield and product quality? That is one of the questions. I think I'll take only about 2 rounds of questions for each of the, about 2 questions for each of the speakers as they come through. Another question for you, Samuel, was how do you customize your fertilizer based on soil health condition? Are you also intending to reach out to the bigger populace through the existing commercial market? So those are 2 questions for you, Samuel. I think those are the 2 that we will take for Samuel. There were actually quite several for you, but I believe you can take those 2, and then we'll get another round of questions from the chat room. Samuel, over to you. Samuel, are you still with us? Is Samuel still on the call? Hello, can someone inform me whether Samuel is still on the call or he has already left the meeting? Because there were some questions for him from the chat room.
I can't see
Hello,
him.
Gabriel? Yes, please.
I can't see him in the participants. I don't know whether he dropped off.
Okay. All right, so those 2 questions were for Samuel. Actually, even the remaining questions that I had actually received.
Yes, Rachel.
Yes,
Hello,
Gabriel.
Rachel.
Yes.
He's just written to me that he's joined another meeting from this one, yeah.
All right, okay. All right, so Samuel is off from this meeting. We do have another set of questions which I can ask. Especially now, this one goes to Anthony. Anthony, you are one of our speakers as well. There's a question here on how are you addressing the issue of negative attitude mindset towards agricultural work among the youth in Kenya? How are you coordinating the different value chain actors to form productive linkages that can enable youth and others to access finance, insurance, warehousing, and competitive markets? Over to you, Anthony. Anthony, are you there? Anthony Mugambi?
Let me try call him through the phone. Just try.
Okay. All right. Actually, most of the questions that I received were for Samuel and then some for Anthony. Okay, while we wait for Anthony to come through on the questions that have been posted in the chat room, I can see Anthony is on, but he's just muted actually.
Hello.
Yes, Anthony,
Hi,
did you hear
Rachel.
the questions? Yes, Anthony. Yes, there were questions for you. There were 2 actually. Let me repeat them for you so that you can address those ones and then take forward the next session. The questions were, how are you addressing the issue of negative mindsets towards agricultural work among the youth in Kenya? And also, how are you coordinating the different value chain actors to form productive linkages that can enable youth and other value chain actors to access finance, warehousing, and competitive markets? These were the 2 questions that also came through on the chat room.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rachel. I think we are creating to ensure that the youth are able to be integrated in
Anthony, we cannot
the
hear you.
various value chains. Maybe our approach is usually anchored on. Is it? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can now hear you. Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much, Rachel. So I was saying that our market-led approaches, including those that are on geared towards the circular economy, are anchored on a private sector led initiatives, basically market-led. And therefore, for any youth that we introduce to any initiative, be it mushrooms, be it vermicomposting, be it vermiculture, be it black soldier flies, or even voucher production, or even fabrication of rice husk stoves, like it's done by Alex Technohub. First of all, we have to ensure that we know the market, where will the end product be offloaded to, who will offtake it, and then we link these to the various aspects of particularly production and offtake. And therefore, that's why you find, for instance, the guys that are doing mushrooms, or the one, for instance, you have the case of Safi Organics, who is here. Let me give his example, where he has already established his market amongst the coffee growers and particularly the horticultural sector. And therefore, we support him to access voucher constantly and without any hindrance, through supporting youth groups to do what we call gasification or production of voucher from rice husks. And this is taken to Safi Organics, who now processes the voucher fertilizer for the end markets. We don't want to stop there, because we have also linked these youth that are doing voucher production with the rice millers, because there is a lot of competition for rice husks from the cement makers, because they are using it as fuel and also as basically for their silica, they're using it as a binding material in cement production. So we've made kind of an MOU between rice millers around those youths and the youth, and also Safi Organics. So basically, that's what we do to ensure that the youth are sustainably in this business, and by linking them to the various stakeholders. The same case applies to those that are producing mushrooms, the ones that are producing say black soldier flies, or the worms for the feed industry. So that's what we do. And I also remember that I answered the questions that you raised that were raised for Safi Organics. I really made sure that I've responded to quite a number of them in the chat. I don't think there is any that I have not answered to, except the one that they are saying, how does he produce fertilizer for the various soils depending on their nutrient levels. This particular company, Safi Organics, has set up a soil lab at their facility, and therefore they also test the soils for their clients, and also they do analysis also for their products before they get out. They are also Kenya Bureau of Standards certified, and therefore they're able to do that. I also responded to Primitiva on the issue of expanding to new areas. For instance, they want to expand to the lake region, because they're in central Kenya, the mountain side, and this has already kicked off, because there is already voucher production going on in the lakeside, and also they are building the capacity of another startup by another youth to produce, to basically replicate what they are doing in central Kenya. They also have plans of expanding to Tanzania, and they are already partnering with OCP. OCP has picked their products and taken them to Tanzania to see how they can blend with their products. You know, OCP is one of the largest phosphorus fertilizer producing companies in Africa, based in Morocco. And so basically, in terms of getting into the commercial distribution channels, Safi Organics is right into it, and we would want to walk the journey together. I hope I've done justice to the queries that you raised, Rachel, unless and also I've been also responding to quite a bit of queries in the chat.
Very good. Thank you very much, Anthony, for those responses. And we are now completely out of time. We started at 1500 hours this afternoon. And we had said we would actually take only 2 hours. We are very, very grateful for our participants and those that are still with us, both following on YouTube and those who are still with us right now. I would like to take this opportunity to invite now somebody that will make some closing remarks. I think let me give this opportunity to at least the team in Rwanda to actually make some closing remarks, give some key takeaways from this webinar, and also close our webinar today, and also wish everyone a Merry Christmas. That very good remarks will come from our team leader in Rwanda, Mr. Andrew Gashaija. You will actually give a few takeaways to the team, and also close in the place of CEO who is unable to actually provide her closing remarks. Andrew, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Very much appreciating the participation. And thank you, Rachel, for giving me the opportunity to close. And I wish you a Merry Christmas, though it's still early, but if we don't see each other before Christmas, just know that Kilimo Trust wishes you a Merry Christmas and a happy 2022. Yes, thank you for posting that. Just to let you know that this is one of the series of topics and discussions we shall be having with our partners to keep this rolling. And if you have any lessons or any topic you want to share with our audience or even ourselves, keep us informed so that we also participate, because this is trending, the youth employment, green jobs. It's a topic. Just to let you know that Kilimo Trust chose just 2 of its projects, the one in Rwanda and this one, the one in Kenya, for this topic. But Kilimo Trust is present in the region, as you may be aware. We are in Uganda, we are in Tanzania, in Kenya, Rwanda, in Burundi, basically across the region. And we have people from all these countries as members of the Kilimo Trust family. You have probably interacted with all of them. So today we discussed the projects in Rwanda and in Kenya, but you have seen participants, our partners from all the countries. So next time we may be discussing other projects that are currently going on in Uganda and in Tanzania, or in Burundi or in South Sudan. Please do not hesitate to attend our events. Keep subscribing to get updates from Kilimo Trust, and do not get tired of our calls and requests to attend some of these events, because we know they are very useful to many, to our audience, and everyone has always expressed interest in participating in our events. And so that gives us the courage to fine-tune and improve further what we do, so that whatever we bring to you makes a lot of sense to what you do. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best, and enjoy the rest of the day. Have a nice time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. A very Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you in our other webinar series. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone. Nice evening.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
the more that we can support young people in the
bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Happy Christmas.
Bye, Alex.
You too, Alex. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye, Noel. Thank you very much.
Thank you too, Lasha.
Very, very much. Thank you very much, Noel. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks,
Well done.
Donata. I have to stay because I realized there was no video. Ah. Thank you very much, Dr. Oyange, for that expose. This is really, really very good and superb information that you're providing to us about what the ministry is doing actually to engage with the youth and of course with our linkages that we are creating together with the Ministry of Agriculture in Kenya. Let me check with my co-host Gabriel. Do we now have Dr. Omanga ready do we now have Dr. Omanga on the line? So that they take us through. I believe that is now Mr. Mugambi and Mr. Gashaija. Over to you, Gabriel, and the colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Let me now take over from you. Thank you very much for the nice coordination. I am equally happy for the good job you've done. Right away, allow me to introduce may someone help me join using the video? The coordinator on that side. Okay, fine. I think someone will help me make the video on, but then we can continue. Allow me to take this opportunity to now introduce the next speakers. And very, very humbly, I would really want to introduce the country team leader, Kenya, under Kilimo Trust. Anthony Mugambi Makona is one of the guys leading program R4ICSA in Kenya and also carry EA programs in Kenya. And I would really want to take this opportunity to welcome Anthony Mugambi to discuss with us what he sees as the role of development organization in promoting circular economy in Kenya and other territories within East Africa and Africa at large. Yes, Anthony Mugambi, are you on? Anthony?
Yes, Gabriel, I'm on. Thank you very much for inviting me to have a discussion this afternoon, and thank you, colleagues, for the coordination this far. Good afternoon, participants and our distinguished speakers. We are very happy that you are able to join us this afternoon. And I'll quickly talk about the role of donors and funders in terms of accelerating adoption of circular economy, particularly by the youth. I will first of all, let me say one of the projects that I'm leading here in Kenya is funded by the iCare Foundation of the Netherlands, and it's focusing on rice byproducts, particularly rice straws, rice husks, rice bran. And we are focusing on ensuring that those byproducts that are basically the waste from the processing process or from the harvesting process are able to become inputs of another process that is either in the making of fertilizers, in the making of compost, in making of economically viable and commercially viable materials such as chipboards and other products that are basically economically viable. And therefore, first of all, let me say that this particular funder, as you may know, the iCare Foundation is the charitable arm of iCare, which is a furniture maker and trader based in Sweden, that started in Sweden and has grown to be a global trademark. And therefore, because they felt that basically they have their business is anchored in the forestry and basically in the environment, they thought that it's wise that they also give back to the environment, basically or literally, and that's how they are funding initiatives that are geared towards conserving the climate change or forestalling the climate change, particularly through reduction of greenhouse gases emission. And as you know, rice production plays a key role, just like in the dairy industry and many other industries. It plays a key role in the emission of greenhouse gases like methane, as you've heard from the video that we played earlier on. And therefore, when we talk about donors and funders for circular economies, here we are talking about not just the mainstream donors that you would say, for instance, the IFAD that is funding our youth program in Rwanda, or other UN bodies or other private foundations, but also even the private sector itself. For instance, I know I've seen here John Kadila of 02 Heroes that are really promoting what we call agroforestry through through plants that we call glycidia that fix nitrogen within the ecosystem, and they also produce biomass for fuel. And we have seen quite a number of youth, particularly in areas where we've been operating with them, take up that enterprise in terms of raising seedlings and selling the same. Because this particular tree is also fodder for animals as well. So basically, there are quite a number of funding initiatives that would come even from business enterprises that could actually take up circular economy as part of their business strategy, not just as a donation or as a funding to an external partner like Climotrust to run with a program, but actually they can put it as part of their strategy. We have seen organizations like Equity Bank, for instance, financing agroforestry, and I've seen them talk about targeting quite a number of trees. They have given them targets of millions of trees at the end of every year, and we've seen them take this drive ahead. And therefore, these particular initiatives we see have, they can be entrenched within business strategies, as I've said. Others can be private foundations, just like we've said. And there are opportunities right now because of the kind of situation we find ourselves in right now. Remembering they just ended concluded discussions in Glasgow, where the talk has been on climate change. And basically, circular economies are able to reduce the pressure on the environment, as we keep saying, by first of all reducing the waste that go into the ecosystem, and therefore we are able to also reduce on a lot of, for instance, if it is production, let's say for instance on rice, there has been a lot of mining of nutrients from the soils, sometimes without recycling, for instance, the straws back into the soil. Sometimes you find the farmers burning these straws, but you find them still continuing to get external fertilizers, particularly N-based or nitrogen-based fertilizers into the soils. And that's why, for instance, today we are honored here to have a youth enterprise that are already focusing on producing organic fertilizers from rice waste, and we'll get to hear from them. We've seen, for instance, the interrelations between enterprises, for instance, the poultry industry, the animal industry, with, for instance, the rice industry, where they produce raw materials for feeding, for instance, the black soldier fly, which produces the maggots that are very critical, right? That have become very critical now as cheap means of animal feeds. And we have one of our youth entrepreneurs in Kisumu, a place called Rabuor, handling this particular enterprise. And this is an initiative that has been put together through an initiative of an abattoir with this young man and his group, trying to basically have
period for the farm. So nutrients